Casemiro and Varane decision made. Dan Ashworth blow. And Vidic calls out the players. These are some of the stories we will be discussing on this morning's show. But before we jump into that, please smash a like on today's video. Subscribe to the channel if this is your first time watching. And let's get straight on into it. So let's start the show off by talking a little bit about Raphael Varane and Casemiro. And the headline this morning is that Varane and Casemiro are expected to head the list of players Manchester United offload in the summer. The story also goes on to say that Ineos have now reportedly made an unfortunate decision about Raphael Varane, with him set to leave the club, apparently. So I think this is the right decision. I do. I think if Varane was willing to stay on a smaller contract, he would definitely be worth keeping. But the thing you have to remember here is, and I know I always talk about wages and stuff, but it is very important. Raphael Varane is paid £350,000 a week. Let that sink in for a minute. Absolutely ridiculous money. Yes, he was one of the best centre-backs in world football for a long period, but not anymore, you know? He's now 30. He's going to be 31, I think, either this year or next year. And he's not worth that type of money anymore. We can't be paying a centre-back who's, let's be honest, injury-prone, 350k a week when we're not even going to be in the Champions League. Like, it's just simply not possible. It's nearly £18 million per season in wages. And when you add into the mix Casemiro, who is, I think, 32 now, definitely is not the player he was at Real Madrid, let's be honest. And he's on a similar type of wage. Casemiro and Varane combined earn nearly £40 million per season. Imagine if we took that money and were able to then reinvest that in younger players. Like, it's what Manchester United need to do. It's what Manchester United should have been doing for the last 10 years, you know, not bringing in players at the end of their careers. You know, you think of people like Cavani, you think of people like Di Maria, Alexis Sanchez, even Ronaldo when he came back, like Ibrahimovic. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. Every single summer, we sign a player who is, let's be honest, going towards the end of their career. I mean, Ronaldo was still good when he came here, so he's maybe the exception, but like, we do it every single season and we give them stupid wages. We give them free 400 grand a week. We usually end up paying a transfer fee for them as well. And effectively we get mugged over 90% of the time. And other clubs look at Manchester United, run under the Glazers, and when Ed Woodward was here, and they see us as a laughingstock. So I think it's important that we change the kind of story, we change the narrative, and we actually now start thinking for the future, because let's be honest, Varane and Casemiro can barely keep up at the moment. How are they going to be in a year or two's time? Like, then they're not going to be very good, are they? Let's be clear. So for me, I think this is positive. I think you'd get money for Casemiro. He's got 2 years left of his contract. So if he went off to Saudi, if he went off to Saudi Arabia, I'd be looking for kind of around the same sort of money that Liverpool got for Fabinho last summer. They got 46 million euros for Fabinho. I think we should be looking for something like that, you know, at least 40 million euros if we're selling him to Saudi, because he is still a good player. And in the Saudi league, he will look very, very good, won't he? Because let's be honest, the Saudi league is levels below the Premier League. So he could go there. He'll probably look quite good. Obviously, there are strong links to Al Nassr, where Cristiano Ronaldo plays. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. But the black and white of it is we could potentially bring in 40 million pounds or euros for the sale of him, and then we'd also save 20 million a season in wages. That's 60 million that goes straight back into the bank. So that's a positive. But let me know what you guys think. Would you like to see Casemiro stay at Manchester United? And would you like to see Raphael Varane stay? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I've obviously given my opinion, and the answer is no. I think they should both be moved on. Let's move on to the story about Nemanja Vidic. So he's been talking about the state of affairs at Manchester United. And it was really, really interesting what Nemanja Vidic had to say. So first of all, he talks about Erik ten Hag. He says, you talk about what Erik ten Hag did for Manchester United. I think last season he did well. Obviously, they finished third. And then he goes on to say this, which I think was really, really interesting. He says, this is Nemanja Vidic's words. This is a direct quote. He says, it seems like certain players didn't stand up and perform, especially the experienced ones. It's not just about the coach. I think it's about the players, the mentality. And that's what's been the issue at the club, not just this year, but for many years. And he says, Sir Jim Ratcliffe and his team, they have a hell of a job to do. If you look at the way Manchester United played this season, I don't think they're in this situation because they don't have the quality. I think it's because they don't have the mentality. And we can all see that, don't we? We, you know, the fact that in the space of 1 week, we nearly stole a victory off Brentford, then we gave it away. We nearly beat Chelsea. I think it was what the 10th minute of stoppage time, and we conceded 2 goals. Even against Liverpool, we were 2-1 up. I don't know how. And then we gave away a penalty with 3 minutes to go. Like within the space of a week, we dropped 7 points. Is that right? 3, 6, something like that. Yeah. Well, anyway, we should have got 9 points from those 3 games based on the fact that we were winning with, only a few minutes left of each game, and we somehow managed to lose 1 and draw the other 2. Yeah, so we dropped 7 points. We got 2 points, and we should have got 9 out of those 3 games. Whether or not we deserve those points is a whole nother conversation. But the point I'm trying to make here is we were in a winning position with very few minutes left of the game, and we can't seem to hold it out. How many times this season have Man United scored and then the opponents equalise within about 30 seconds? It's happened so many times. Probably 10 or more games where we'll go and score, and then literally within the next couple of minutes, the opponent scores. And it just happens every single time. And that's a mentality issue. That's not something that Erik ten Hag can coach into these players, because they've been like that for years and years and years and years and years. Their heads drop. And I don't know what the solution is. I guess, we probably just need new players, don't we? Because Jose Mourinho couldn't do it, couldn't, bring it out in them. Oli couldn't. Van Gaal couldn't. I think we just need a fresh start, fresh players, and kind of hope that, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, and I don't think Vidic does either. But it's interesting to see a Manchester United legend come out and publicly kind of defend Erik ten Hag and more blame it on the players, because that's what we're all saying in the fan base, isn't it? I know rival fans will say, oh, sack Erik ten Hag, he's rubbish. People who don't watch Manchester United, if you go on mainstream media, it's constantly talking about Erik ten Hag should be sacked, he's not good enough, and all the rest of it. But no one really ever seems to point the finger at the players unless it's actual fans of the club. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think Erik ten Hag is to blame here, or do you agree with Vidic where he says that it's the players, it's their mentality, and it's not just been Erik ten Hag, it's been over the last kind of 10 or so years? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. The next story we have for you is about Dan Ashworth, and it's a little bit of a mood dampener, actually, to be honest. So this story is coming out from Samuel Luckhurst, Manchester Evening News, and he is reporting that Dan Ashworth isn't expected to be involved in any of the transfers this summer. So Dan Ashworth's obviously meant to be the director of football, so that would be effectively his primary job, bringing in players. But Manchester United are still in talks with Newcastle to try and agree a fee to let him start earlier. It doesn't seem to be going anywhere. And then the story then goes on to say that apparently Manchester United's head of player negotiations, Matt Hargreaves, will take control of recruitment plans following John Murtaugh's departure. I don't know what to think about that. I mean, that doesn't fill me with much confidence. Obviously, Omar Barada is apparently going to be starting in July, but when you think about it, the Premier League season starts in August. We need all of our business done. When does the transfer window open? Let's have a look. We need all of our business done in the first few weeks of the window. Okay, so the transfer window opens in June, and apparently Omar Barada is not going to start until July, and we don't know when Jason Wilcox is going to start either. So it feels like a little bit of a mess going into this summer, and I think, for me personally, that makes me want to stick with Erik ten Hag even more. If I said to you, we won't have a director of football, we've got somebody Matt Hargreaves, who's been here for a few years, and ultimately all he does is negotiate transfers. And let's be honest, he's done a terrible job of that so far. He paid 100 million for Anthony. He paid 70 million for Mason Mount when we didn't even need him, etc., etc. He's now going to be the person apparently handling the transfers this summer. If you then add that to removing the manager and bringing in a new manager, I just feel like this is just going to be a massive mess. This summer should be about getting rid of players. Even if it's getting rid of players and bringing people from the youth, I'd be fine with that. Like, I'd rather us spend our money properly and well kind of researched players than just go into another window and end up overspending on players we don't really need, or players who are past their best. Like, that's what the Glazers used to do. And I fear that, if you make too many changes at one time and you don't have the necessary tools to implement those changes, then it could just be more of the same. So hopefully this Dan Ashworth stuff gets resolved, because at the moment it's a bit of a mess. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. So just to round up there, Dan Ashworth apparently not going to be involved in the recruitment this summer. Omar Barada is not allowed to join until July because of his gardening leave. And Jason Wilcox, the who's going to be the head of recruitment, I think, we don't know when he's going to come, because Southampton aren't happy for him to join then they're not agreeing the terms that we've put forward. So at the moment, it's going to be one guy who's been here for years handling the transfers. So I don't know. I hopefully, Sir Dave Brailsford, hopefully, the Ineos people have some say and stuff. We'll just have to wait and see. Obviously, we still have all of our scouts and all the rest of it, but the thing you have to remember is all of the scouts that we have at the moment are the same scouts who've been here for the last 10 years, So they're gonna be identifying similar players to what we've been identifying already. It's not going to be this new way forward of bringing in younger people and all the rest of it. It could just be more of the same, but we'll have to wait and see. At this stage, it's such early days. Hopefully something happens, and in the next week, Man United announced that Dan Ashworth, Jason Wilcox, and Omar Barada are going to start next week, and then we're laughing. But as it stands at the moment, this summer transfer window is probably one of our biggest to date, and we don't have the people there to actually implement what we want to do. So that is a bit of a concern. But as I said, that's why I think, as well as many other reasons, that getting rid of Erik ten Hag at that same point would be absolutely ridiculous. I think it would be a terrible decision. I think it will make us even worse than we are already. But you can let me know what you guys think about that in the comment section below. I'm going to wrap the video up here, everybody. I will be back live for a live show at 6 o'clock this evening. So if you enjoy the live videos, make sure you join me for that. Please smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. This has been Daily Red Devil. Have a great day, everybody, and I'll speak to you all later.